Good morning, Britain. Doctors threaten to carry on striking for 2 more years. Union leaders issue the threat today as the Health Secretary reveals he's willing to consider a bigger pay offer in the long-running dispute, and NHS bosses say it's patients paying the price.
45,000 police officers are helping restore calm on the streets of France after the grandmother of the teenager shot by police say the violence is causing a pain in her heart.
It's not just the monuments, the shops and the cafes on the boulevards of Paris, but this weekend we have seen thousands of riot police here too. But after several nights of violence, are the protesters finally listening to calls for calm?
Here, police in Sussex investigate one of their own officers after a social media video shows him apparently refusing to respond to a crime.
Right, you need to get around to the co-op. Honestly, there's just been a fight round there.
I'm not responsible, you know,
I know you're not, but the sight of the car will make them scatter.
even then I have to deal with it.
And were you watching The Voice Kids on Saturday night? will.i.am will be telling us why he is now regretting at this moment.
7 days since you went and found some space.
Zara, you were amazing.
Thank you.
And I'm really upset that collectively that we didn't turn. The audience, do you think we should have turned? Yeah.
And also this morning, can you help National Treasure Dame Sheila Hancock find her treasured possession? A gold chain including her wedding rings. She tells us about her heartbreaking loss.
A cooler week ahead for many of us, and it's pretty unsettled with sunshine or showers most days. I'll have all the details of that and more coming up on Good Morning Britain.
Monday, 3rd of July, 2023. Live from Television Centre in London. This is Good Morning Britain with Susanna, Reid and Ed Balls.
Good morning, Britain. It has just gone 6 o'clock. That video of the man reporting a crime to the police officer in Sussex, and the Sussex police officer saying, I'm not an emergency responder. No. It's absolutely remarkable. It's not a response unit. Surely it's the role of the police to respond to emergencies. I think a lot of people who have seen that video are very shocked. There was a fight at a local co-op. The police officer was spotted by a local, told there was a fight round the corner, said, I can't go. Why can't you go? Because I'm not a response unit. Well, I think a lot of people think, but you're a police officer. That makes you a response unit. And as the local said, the local resident, even just the sight of you might make them scatter. Surely a police officer could call for backup. Look,
there will be police officers watching this programme, getting up for their shift, who will be tearing their hair out this morning. Think of the Pride of Britain Awards. How often we talk about police officers going the extra mile, bravely going in to sort something out. The oath every police officer says pledges them to always intervene when a crime is being committed, on duty or off duty. If you're a police officer, you don't say, sorry, I'm off the clock. You go if there's a crime. And I think that, look, there's going to be an investigation. Yeah. You know, if I had to guess, I don't know the details, I would say this police officer has got a lot of questions to answer. But, you know, that is not what policing is about. Policing is about responding when a crime is being committed, and that's what we want from our police. That's what our police do every day. This video is, I think, you know, I believe the exception. Yeah. Do get in touch with us this morning if that has been your experience, or, as Ed says, if you're a police officer who is also disappointed about that individual officer's response, or if you actually agree that there are police officers who perhaps that officer had a different role that day. Perhaps they were doing a different job and they needed to continue doing that, but just didn't explain it very well. You're on an aeroplane, somebody's ill, there's an announcement, is a doctor on board, and you say, sorry, off duty.
Yeah. Then I'd have to deal with it if you ask me to get involved.
You don't do that. And if you're a police officer and a crime has been committed and somebody says, help us, you don't say, not my job. And I just don't think that, in my experience, that is not the culture of policing, that's not the oath of policing. No. And, you know, I hope we'll get a good response from people today saying that is not the policing they recognise.
No, but contact us this morning what you think about that, particularly if you're a police officer. 5 minutes past 6, our main news this morning, doctors could strike until 2025 and beyond unless they get a 35% pay rise. That is the warning from the British Medical Association, who will today say they're willing to do whatever it takes for their profession and their patients.
Comes as the Health Secretary suggests doctors could be offered a bigger pay rise in the long-running dispute. But the Health Secretary says he refused to restart pay talks while strike action is still being planned. And Nithya Rajan is in Westminster. Nithya, Steve Barclay yesterday said there needs to be movement on both sides. Is there actually going to be movement, or is the standoff going to continue? Are we going to see more strikes in the coming weeks?
Well, certainly a stubborn stance from both sides, Ed. Well, let's look at the next couple of weeks. 13th to the 18th, junior doctors are on strike after rejecting the latest pay offer from the government. And then there's a 2-day break, and then the consultants are on strike on the 20th and the 21st of July. And the head of NHS England, Amanda Pritchard, has said that because the consultants are the most senior ranking of doctors when it comes to frontline patient care, the impact of the strike could be much more significant. But I'll get to that in a little bit. Looking at Steve Barclay and what he said, he according to what he maintains that he's open to negotiations, but refuses to sit down and talk to doctors while strikes are still being planned. He says that the 35% pay rise that's being demanded is unreasonable given the headwinds from inflation, but has hinted that he could offer a bigger pay rise than what's already been put on the table. Now, a top medic at the union, the British Medical Association, has said that in his 30-year career, this is the biggest breakdown of trust that he's seen between government and doctors. That's Dr. Phil Banfield, and he has predicted that these strikes could go on well beyond the next general election. Now, I mentioned impact. Let's look at what that means in reality. Nearly 650,000 appointments and operations have already had to be rescheduled as a result of the latest wave of strikes. And Amanda Pritchard, the head of NHS England, I mentioned her earlier, she has said that the impact would only get more significant, and rather bleakly warning that it is patients who will be paying the biggest price as a result of this standoff. Now, we are ever inching closer to the NHS celebrating 75 years in service, but according to a poll in The Guardian today from the Health Foundation, 71% of people believe that the NHS as it stands, free at the point of use, is a principle that is doomed. All of this comes just days after the PM announced a £2.4 billion package for long-term investment into the NHS and its workforce, but clearly signs that he is still very much grappling with the short-term challenges.
Nithya, thanks very much indeed. That's our main news this morning. We'll discuss that and the police story with Andrew Pearce and Kevin Maguire shortly. First, though, here's Ranvir with the rest of the day's stories.
Thank you so much. We start with matters in France, not abating. 78 more arrests, in fact, have been made across France as President Macron attempts to suppress that violence, the unrest that has swept across major cities in the country.